Hello and welcome to the Bitcoin.Review podcast, where we explore developments and projects with the people who actually make them happen. The show is supported by P2PK Sat Streaming and CoinKite. If you're a new listener, I'm NVK. I run CoinKite, where we've been helping people secure their Bitcoins for over a decade. We make the cold card and fun products like the BLOCKCLOCK. You can find more information about it on CoinKite.com. Hello, and welcome back to the Bitcoin.Review. It's been a few weeks, I think, and Happy New Year! Another year, and another block, and nothing is happening in Bitcoin as usual, right? With me today, I have Mr. Rob Hamilton from Anchor Watch.
Hello.
He's the CEO now.
Now? Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Rodolfo. I guess you just promoted me. I've been CEO the whole time, but now it's official that it's on Bitcoin.Review.
Now you go to yacht parties, right? Now you're a real CEO.
Yeah, the yacht parties that have block clocks on them. It's not a real yacht party if the yacht... It's really a poor yacht if it doesn't have a block clock on it. There was also a micro.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a micro and a mini, you know? It was good, yeah. Thanks for... I haven't been on since last year, you know? So I was really excited to come back on. It's been a while.
Yeah, last year was a long time ago. It was many blocks though. It's actually a lot of blocks in between, all those hours.
That's right.
It's been 48 hours already. All right. So a little housekeeping here. Verify address over NFC using Coldcard Q on BDK iOS example. Nice. Mr. Matthew Ramsden from Bitcoin Park there representing. That was a nice little demo too.
It's a great app. So he's demoed this before. So Matthew is he works at Bitcoin Park. He's also one of the hosts of the Nashville Bit Devs. And he's been demoing this. He has a really cool BDK, like vanilla, that just does send and receive your transaction history. And it's all built on top of BDK. And what's great with BDK is that you can have all of your crusty, rusty things on the back end, and then you can compile it to foreign language binding. So you can run it natively in iOS and Android. And so to be able to do something like this NFC address validation it's a low-hanging fruit, right? And it taps into the rest of the BDK infrastructure very cleanly in the cold card. So that's also fully open source too. So that's just out there for anyone to start looking at and thinking about how you can build Bitcoin mobile applications.
Yeah. I mean, NFC definitely beats quantum protected Bluetooth any day in my books.
It's a radio. It's a very big radio. And NFC technically, I guess, is a radio-esque too, but it's a much smaller constrained spec.
Yeah, it's also near field, right? So right. you gotta be there, close to it. So yeah, no, it's nice to see it. I can't wait for more hardware competitors to support NFC. I think would be a huge, because the thing is, everybody wants QRs, and then they try to get a potato camera from a laptop to read the QRs on the screen of the hardware wallets, and then they all cry.
You know, it'd be interesting too, is if you had an NFC spec, you could have NFC wallets tap each other, and they could do that. And if you had different vendors, that'd be sick to have this
yeah.
I use it all the time. It's that classic Bitstein Reservoir Dogs gif where everyone's pointing guns at each other's heads, and that's what you want.
Yes, I think we'll get there. I think that's the path, especially as people like BDK add it.
Yeah,
because it is hard for app devs to integrate on their wallets.
Yeah.
So this should help a lot.
Well, the beauty is now you have an app that does it and it's fully open source, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's the huge thing with Matthew's app. It's fully open source.
Yes.
So if you want to build a Bitcoin mobile wallet, you have that right there ready to go. It's a simple vanilla single sig, but you can go from there. And now you have the NFC spec in there too. And it all is false.
There is a lot of wallets, phone wallets that use BDK, right? So in theory, would be very ed for them to now just pull from upstream support, right? So BullBitcoin, Cove.
Yeah.
Cove is coming soon. I think it's going to be a good wallet.
Yeah.
BitKey, I think, uses BDK.
I think so. Because it's all spiral cash, it's all part of that larger network. It would make sense because they're investing all this infrastructure anyway.
What else? Who else uses BDK on iPhone?
I don't have iPhone yet, but I'm using BDK. And that's something we think about as a company that to move over to iOS. It's a much lower hanging fruit.
Yes. I mean, what you guys should really do is just go for Cove and add the extra logic that you need.
That would be. Yeah, I mean, I could talk to the team about that. That's not the immediate first thing to do, but
No, just for the basic logic, right? So customers can check addresses, they can check the wallet balance, right? So not like the whole thing, right? Like
totally, yeah, like the initial skeleton structure.
Exactly, right? So like, because you guys are gonna have like fancy customers, right?
Mm.
And they want that epic experience, not for transacting, right? And nobody with money sends a few $1 million, from their phone.
No.
But having that phone as a way to double check an address on the wallet stack, right? So same XPub.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Or using its two-factor, right? Like,
I mean, and that's the thing with the Coldcard too, right? Is like you load the descriptor, then you load the PSBT. And that's actually like a hidden feature in the Coldcard. If you want to, I would not advise it. You could be like, hey, just blind sign any PSBT you give me. Or by default, what you're doing is you're saying like, I give you a descriptor, I look at it once, and then the Coldcard holds it and says, okay, later, if you give me a PSBT for another random wallet, I'm going to say reject. Or if you're like the address validation, you're tying it to that initial descriptor.
Yes.
Descriptors, I love them. It's also one of these things that it's like the last UX hurdle because you basically front load all the complexity on the descriptor. This isn't just miniscript, right? This is just anything beyond a single sig.
Yep.
Anything beyond a single sig, you're loading, and even with the single sig, like what's your derivation path, right? And your script type. But still, like you're like front loading this as a one-time like setup, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting.
It'll be really cool if these things catch on a bit more. I feel like the most wallets are just sort of like stop, like they don't do anything else past that basic sort of either sign or it's like there's so much design space.
Yes,
that's like unused. That we can improve a lot, because you can do the push TX stuff with the NFC, right? So then you don't have to go back to the NFC card, to the SD card to publish the transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the apps could do like delayed broadcast, right, of multiple transactions.
Yeah, structuring the transaction broadcast to remove timing analysis would be great. Also, this is even the Coldcard does this, but I think in general for hardware wallets in mobile apps too would be looking at my change addresses. Like, let me get a list of my change and receive addresses, right? This is like niche power user stuff, and I feel like often in the wallet app ecosystem, you have like a 90-10 rule where like once you can sign and receive and look at your transaction history, that's 90% of what a wallet is, like what you absolutely need. But to your point, that 10% or like the 20, whatever we want to call it, of like other things enriches. And that's where you also could get this interoperability between different wallet stacks, right? Like my bigger vision of this is that wallets are just like front end clients into a larger basket of services. And there's no reason why like you could start combining this stuff a lot more. Like I've seen people like turn it, like tie them into Nostr clients, right? And once we get double ratchet, you could do like communication for a quorum if you have multiple people holding keys, being able to like intermediate that whole broadcast state. Like that's a pre-signing a transaction. If you're using a time lock, why can't I just like, I'm already right here. Let me just pre-sign it so that a year I can just broadcast this thing, use the Mempal transaction accelerator maybe if I need to. But like you could start doing this like more advanced state with your wallet and letting it be a way to access other things too. So I totally agree. It's an exciting time to be building as a lot of this stuff is coming online and all the open source stuff is really providing this foundational infrastructure where there's 1,000 flowers that can bloom from here.
I mean, like the fucking address, the change address check by Coldcard. I mean, it's what, like 4 years old now?
Yeah.
I think around that time. Mm-hmm. And like nothing out there. I don't get it. I legitimately can't comprehend why we don't see that around. Like nobody cares.
And so for people who are still awake in the show, the reason why you want to have a change address verification, right, is that let's say, and to like take it back, let's say I have a Bitcoin UTXO, I have 10 Bitcoin on that, and I want to send NVK a whole Bitcoin. Well, the way Bitcoin works is that you have to declare where all 10 of those Bitcoin are going in a transaction. Any undeclared funds in a Bitcoin transaction are miner fees. So if I send 1 to NVK, that's cool. And then I have to send 9 back to myself as a change address. This is the traditional 1 input, 2 outputs. I have my 10 Bitcoin and I'm sending 1 to NVK and I'm sending 9 back to myself. You want to really make sure, because oftentimes you're spending less than the size of your UTXO, especially if it's a big UTXO, that it's even more important to make sure that the address for the 1 Bitcoin is correct. You want to make sure that 9 Bitcoin address is going back to the right spot, right? And this is where change address verification comes in. You want to be able to sanity check where you're sending those funds back to so the whole transaction state is being verified. Mm-hmm. And it's a little detail that often overlooked, I would say.
Yeah, and it's so simple. It's such like it's right on the what I believe to be the very basic needs. I mean, we see this on Twitter all the time, right? Like people who had issues with a change address, either maliciously or by incompetence, user error kind of thing, where they just didn't change the change address and sent the money to the ether or to an attacker. And it does happen. Like it's not like a theoretical sort of like, out there attack. It's just shit happens, right?
Yeah. Not at all. It's one of those things too that like hardware wallets are nice. I think a lot of people put pressure on clients to do this. Like Sparrow does it very beautifully. There's a whole address tab. You can look at everything yourself. But I also want to have a thing that isn't the thing that's on my computer all the time doing this verification as well. And the Coldcard also has a really nice feature. You can export your wallets, like the addresses. You can export the address list, and the Coldcard actually signs it too. So it gives you a data payload and it signs it.
That was my doing. I still remember when we added the address explorer, and I'm like, I got the list on the micro SD card. I'm like, nope,
I don't feel safe.
No, like it's like I don't feel safe. What if my computer changed the list? I mean, that would be the perfect place to change.
1,000%.
Right? Like that is beautifully there how you get attacked, right? Like, and I'm like, no, needs to be signed, needs to be signed. Bump issues, needs to be signed.
And this is where I think like Nostr was like the really first big application for this, right? For like signing metadata that isn't a Bitcoin transaction.
Yeah.
Like we always had message signing in Bitcoin, but it was very sparsely used. And this idea of data integrity, you're already using this thing to secure money. Why not you also have it secure this like hash, like you look at the data. And that's why you just want everything to be verified everywhere.
See, one thing that always drove me insane and to this day still does is unsigned PSPTs. It's retarded in my opinion. PSPTs should have been signed. The client signs with whatever keys they have, or maybe they do a handshake with the hardware wallet and they get some ephemeral key that they have.
Yeah.
That the hardware wallet knows. Like, I don't like unsigned data.
1,000%, right? And so this is an interesting point because with PSPTs, now what some people would say, and I've talked to people about this, they would say, okay, just have your wallet store a hotkey and make it one of the keys in the transaction.
No.
But to your point, since it's just your own personal data integrity, that doesn't need to be on the blockchain forever for everyone to look at.
Yeah.
Right? So there should be a meta field, and PSPTs have proprietary fields where we could put extra data. You could use that for nonce negotiation, for if you're doing like a music thing down the line. But it's sitting there as unused space. And a perfect one would be a coordinator one where additionally you register your signature. You're like, you're not going to sign this unless my coordinator also signed the transaction. Right? That makes perfect sense because every time I'm moving data around, I have the same exact feeling with you. Like if it isn't signed somewhere, I am extremely suspicious and always have to like be double and triple verifying things. So I agree with you on that. That'd be a great added feature as well.
Yeah, no, it's you can also use the vendor fields, right? Infinite.
Yep.
But the way I would do it is you have the original sort of like secret would come from the hardware wallet. Based on the key, based on the master secret, right? That the wallet has for a private key, at least the root private key. So then you either derive from that, or you use that as part of the secret. That then you do a whole diffie with the client software, and then because then the hardware wallet is aware of the key.
Right.
So it can actually check the signature that the client is giving. And
I love that.
Yeah, and remember, the clients cannot keep secrets, right? Because they are in computers. So, but they could have a hash, right? Or they could have a derived key that you don't care as much. So then when you do this handshake, he always knows. So the hardware wallet always knows the data integrity on that PSPT.
That's an interesting idea for an extension of BIP85. Like you could pick some really far out random dedicated child seed from your BIP85 and just have that be like the hash secret, whatever that sits on the computer that's doing the signing. That's an interesting point for sure. And then you would always have that data integrity. And then the entire quality quorum is being verified by the offline device.
Yep.
No, that's a great idea. Free alpha for anyone out there looking to build some interesting things.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
It is.
Well, hopefully we'll see more interesting things coming. Somebody pointed out to me that there is a spec for Musig PSBT field.
Yes.
But for some reason, I haven't looked into it in a while. But I remember there being something missing and the reason why we were not quite there yet. But I might have a new idea on how at least we internally pursue the new things.
Okay.
I think Edge might be too big.
Okay.
Yeah, Edge release might be too big.
Like too big for the device, or just too many features?
It's a lot of code.
Right.
To review and to make sure there's no bugs. We're always finding bugs.
Yeah.
Like and there is not enough people using it.
Yeah.
Like I know all the nerds are all sort of like, yeah, Schnorr is happening, mini script is happening, but like, like there's 2 people outside of devs who are using it.
Yeah, I would say like, so all of the issues that I've ever found with the Edge firmware are like quality of life things. I've never, to be clear, like the quote bugs I find are not like lose money bugs. They're just like, this descriptor isn't formatted the right way, aligning with the PSBT. And oftentimes it's just how I'm going about things internally, navigating things. It's not like I said, there's not like money losing stuff, but those are processes you want to streamline. So then when you make this on the main firmware, you're not getting 10,000 support emails finding all these little things. So it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting though. So if it's not like, if it's, you're thinking about the Schnorr, well, first off, I know the tap signer can't use Schnorr. I'm currently, is this the same kind of similar issue where to change it to Schnorr is just like too much like overhead in code?
Yeah. Yeah. The Schnorr stuff, man. It's unfortunately like all that cryptography is not supported by the current hardware that we use.
Right.
Like there's a bunch of things they're like hardware accelerated, like there's no other way. And the actual crypto for all the other stuff is not there, right? So and we can't just like, there is no room to write ourselves either and just put it in there. There's no memory for that. Which was our second sort of plan. So the only way to do it is to get new hardware and then just go from there, like either from scratch or if we can find some primitives and some hardware out there. I have not found hardware that's economically viable yet, so it might take a while, unfortunately. I mean, for the people that don't know, Schnorr just came out of patent hell.
Yes.
A couple years ago, right?
It's a fun part of Bitcoin history, actually, is that Schnorr was kind of known to be the best way to go about the signing algorithm, but it was still patented. And that's why Satoshi, in part, used ECDSA instead of Schnorr when starting Bitcoin. But when that expired, that was all part of Taproot. Yeah. And so that the patent expired. I mean, for thinking about like product roadmap stuff, is it just in a holding pattern because it's too big for Edge and just kind of maybe waiting for the hardware to catch up a bit more so it's economic? Yeah, that's the move. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Moore's Law. Let Moore's Law do a little work for you.
Yeah, no, it's like, you just need the hardware support for it because like there's a lot of stuff that would just be too slow if you write the code and it's not hardware accelerated. But we'll see.
It's also an extension. Yeah. I was going to say an extension too. Yeah. Getting people to start building these tools too. As someone who's on that frontier actually building these tools, you're right. Like there's a lot to be desired out there and a lot of things. The trailblazer has to kind of like, cut down all the rough brush so there's a nice paved path so then you can scale and get everyone else building on top of it.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it, but it'll take its time.
Yeah.
All right. Urgent vulnerability disclosures. New fake ledger data breach emails try to steal crypto wallets. That's new. And maybe this one is a little bit more interesting because it's been happening. The issue with wallets not teaching their users about Bitcoin is to me, the biggest gripe that I have with the easy-to-use solutions. I look forward to meeting with Mr. Miles from BitKey to give him a little bit of shit about that. I love their solution. I love that's easy.
Yeah.
But they do need to teach users about Bitcoin so that the users don't become like retards that give their money away. If you're on Ledger and looking for an easy peasy wallet and you don't want to make your move to a real hardware wallet, like I highly recommend going into the big key solution. It does solve a lot of problems.
I'm holding one in my hand right now for all of the premium Nostr users zapping for the shirtless live stream that we have going on.
Yeah, if you don't know about the live stream that we have on this show, it's just, you just don't listen to the end of the show all the time, so you wouldn't know the URL to go to.
Exactly.
It's a very private club.
It's a very, very, very. But I'm holding the big key in my hand. Like, I love the feel of it. It's a great, like, for this entry level like way of being able to hold keys and having a multi-sig. The one key is on the phone app, one key is in your hand, the physical device, and then the third one is held by the servers over at the BitKey team.
There you go.
And it's a great way, and it's nice. Like, I think I've heard you describe it before as like, your Charles Schwab, kind of like for someone who's just like a boomer finance guy.
Yes.
It's really slick and clean. People have now gone in and verified, if the servers are down, you can go spend it and recover it yourself. You can buy them at Best Buy too. They're really awesome.
Yeah. All right. Next is cryptocurrency hardware wallet Tangem fixes app bug that saved the user's seed phrases in application logs. A lot of people apparently lost money on this one. It's very hard to verify these because a lot of people, when the price go up, also have bolting accidents.
Yeah.
As a hardware wallet vendor, I know the pain. A lot of people use the opportunity of things to pretend that they lost money for the tax man. But this one, man, again, right? Like this fucking app wallets.
It's a heartbreaker.
No, but this is the part that I don't get, right? So theoretically they're using a secure Java card, right?
Yeah.
Why is this Java card releasing the seed phrase in any event for any reason to the app is beyond me.
Right.
It is a level of incompetence that it's hard to convey. It's just don't use shitcoin company hardware. Ledger, Trezor, Tangem, all these companies. I mean, these guys just they're too focused on making quick money with shitcoins, and this is what you get.
This wallet in particular, like looking at the disclosure, I've never used it before, but as you said, there were a lot of people that were upset about losing their funds on this. This is also just finding the right vendor stack, right, and being able to find people like they're people. I think there's a natural kind of over time, not only with the price of Bitcoin going up, but you get into it and it's quick, convenient, and easy, and then you very quickly start forgetting how much money you have sitting on these devices, and that's not something you want, happening to yourself. It's you gotta be really careful.
Yeah, it's and man, it's like the conversation on Twitter. The air gap computer SOC account starts showing up again. It's Eternal September, right? So in one side you have this fucking shitcoin vendors, right? That it's complete fucking hell, and they're gonna lose your money. And then on the other side, you have these people getting noobs completely wrecked, telling them to use an old IBM laptop, where all you have to do is just open the laptop and remove the radios and remove this and remove that. Yeah, totally within the helm of reason for a noob to do. And check signatures in the whole software stack, right? It's retarded.
There's a lot of the trade-off here, right, is they say that the device, you're getting general purpose hardware. The flip side is you're getting general purpose hardware. Right? It is most people don't know how to verify a PGP signature and hashing of files and all of this stuff. And let alone do they have the Torx screw set laying around that allows you to unscrew everything.
Yep.
And then you have special screws that are on the inside, and you have the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth card. And if you're really going down that path, it's you should remove the camera and the microphone. You should also probably remove the speakers. You have to really it is not if you're gonna buy the tinfoil, buy it in bulk.
No, but hey, is the keyboard randomized? Because we randomize the keyboard in the hardware wallet.
Right.
They're randomized reads of the keyboard, so that if somebody's reading your keyboard remotely, they're not getting the right key presses, right? How about the screen? Is the screen get randomized pixel drawings? Because we do that, so you can't read it remotely. right? Like it's like the rabbit hole that hardware wallets go through is so insane, right? And there's also like, almost a decade now of lived experience with people trying to attack your device
Totally.
every day, that like you simply can't reduce that attack surface on laptops.
No.
I highly recommend airgapcomputer.com. There is like a healthy list of attacks there that if that doesn't scare the fuck out of you to not do this, then good luck. Have fun staying poor.
It's tough. It's not easy, man. Security is not easy. It's really not. And it's like a perpetual cat and mouse game too. Right.
Yeah, it's never ending, right? Like, and and the more complex the device is, the harder it is to harden. So like you can't, because essentially what hardware wallets do is just cop out, right? Like we build the most simplest device that we can. We try to protect as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And then we say like, look, there's just not enough resources in this device to try to attack.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is in a way a cop out sort of solution, right? Like, because we know that you can't secure a laptop.
Right.
Anyways, it's Eternal September.
Of course.
Like I am certain now that it's the same socks. So it's like the same accounts. They just come back in a different sock. Like, it's like accounts with like 10 followers that all of a sudden get like 100 retweets. It's like, how is this possible? Right. Like,
that's the part of the bull market too. Price starts going up. Everyone starts getting locked in again.
Yes. It really is amazing. All right. Irrevocable fees stealing from Lightning using revoked commitment transactions. Nice. David Hardin's disclosure. Don't know much about it. It's Lightning stuff.
It looks like you have to be a miner specifically.
Yeah.
Being able to steal funds under certain conditions. This is the perpetual just with Lightning, right? If you and I have a Lightning channel together, part of that trust model is assuming that like our blocks, our transactions can get confirmed, right? And this is where like pinning attacks and that kind of like oh, I've gone. Yeah. So like it goes into like the all of the structure around the Lightning network, and you have to be sequencing transactions, and you're assuming that the miners are all operating in a healthy, normal capacity to put these blocks in there. But if your counterparty is a miner, they could start messing with that theory, right?
Yeah.
So it's something to just always be conscious of.
Well, I mean, just remember, Lightning is not Bitcoin.
No,
it's a pile of Bitcoins that may be yours.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
There is no replacement for on-chain.
That's right.
Different trade-offs. All right. Security research company Zellic identify a vulnerability in Proton Wallet's early preview version affecting wallet and backup memory. Oh, yes. Jesus, I remember this one. Holy fuck. They were, I think the keys to their backups were available internally to people or something. Like there was something with it was a bit of a disaster.
Oh no. I'm reading it. It was the Dart random class, which is not cryptographically secure.
Right.
Entropy. All of cryptography is about randomness. And if you're not random, you're dead.
I think we covered this on the last show. It's an absolute fucking disaster.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend this wallet ever again to anyone, because this is the kind of mistake that just tells me that there is no grown-up security person internally.
It's tough.
It really is that simple. It's just, no, don't ever use their shit ever for crypto. And I mean crypto, I mean cryptography.
Right.
It's a no-go. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, moving on. Bitcoin software releases and project updates. Coldcard Edge version 6.3.4. Shared improvements. Enhancement, hide security notes and passwords in Delta mode. Wipe seed if notes menu is accessed. Hide seed vault in Delta mode. Wipe seed if seed vault menu accessed. Bug fix, do not disable seed vault feature when temporary seed mode. Blast firmware causes hanging progress bar fixed. Prevent yikes in ownership search. Do not allow purge settings of current active temp seed when deleting it from seed vault. Mark for specific, all updates from 5.4.0 plus export single sig descriptor with QR. Q is specific, all the previous above plus bug fix properly redraw status bar after restored master on Coldcard without master seed.
Yeah.
This one included, I think, a big bug fix that you created, that you found.
Yeah, I was poking around, and there's some evolving stuff too. Just again, nothing that's money losing, but just explaining that like what we built at Trident is at the end of the day a coordinator, and the way it constructs the vaults and the descriptors, and it constructs PSBTs and all this stuff. We don't have any online keys to be like managed with, right? But just because it's not literally the actual like secret, it doesn't mean it's not important still, because you need to make sure like when you set up a wallet, you're registering it and you're going through all of these flows and processes. It's good to understand how this is all being architected. Now, for the stuff specifically, looking at this too at the Delta mode, and I guess I'll go back first, where for our product, what we built at launch is for the immediate launch using ledgers, we've gotten in our launch over the past 2 weeks a lot of requested feedback for turning on the Coldcard. So I think that's going to be coming soon in the coming month or two. I think we're looking to add Coldcard support formally for end customers as well. And so I've been doing a lot of testing and iterating and making sure that all of the things that I'm like, oh, I'm a dev, I know how to fix this, blah, 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 like never happens to an end user. So this is kind of some of the stuff too that we've been working through right now. The Delta mode would be a good thing to kind of explain. That ties into the seed vault, right? When you're using your MK4, your Coldcard.
Yeah, so what I wanted was for the people who do have more interesting salient secrets in their notes or passwords, I wanted a way for those secrets to be erased in case they're put in weird situations. So that maybe like losing their honeypot money in their travel cold card is not the end of the world. Or maybe they go into the decoy wallet with their Delta mode, but I wanted those secrets to be killed.
Got it.
Right? So that's why we started to intertwine the behavior of the Delta mode and some other trick pin stuff with the seed vault and the secure notes and passwords. We really sort of try to tighten it, right? Like sort of create sort of like a bigger maze there on how it behaves. And it's kind of cool because if the attacker doesn't go into the menu to try to see the seed vault in one of these behaviors, it doesn't erase it.
Right.
So like he leaves it alone unless somebody tries to go look at it.
Right.
Which is kind of cool. So yeah, more playing with this stuff, trying to find like the edge cases for people's behaviors, because we get like a lot of like private reports on needs, and people give us some very interesting sort of life experiences and life sort of like needs based on their complex lifestyles, and we really keep on trying to follow that path, right? Like there's a lot of guys now that like travel a lot, and like they don't necessarily have a fixed address, and and like the threat model, when you don't have some land to bury a secret that's accessible or whatever, like how do you manage those things? And these guys are all trying to sort of like come up with like some trade-off solutions for it. Power to them.
Yeah.
All right, BLOCKCLOCK version 1.2.3 mini only adds support for meme fun. Mr. Yellow makes an appearance. Press either the two buttons on top, add value to the list shown immediately, external IP address report into the log file. We did a bunch of try to like fixes and improvements. We also added stocks.
Nice.
A few stocks, and also Bitcoin treasuries improvement, because people want to look at their MSTR, in their yacht. BDK version 1.0.0. Wallet transactions should only return relevant transactions. Minor updates to fix Rustic 1.83.0 Clippy warnings. Nunchuk 1.9.57. Taproot multisig wallets. Nunchuk introduces Taproot multisig, reducing transaction fees and simplifying complex scripts, improving user experience and network performance. 1.9.56. Add dark mode and biometric login support. It's nice. Desktop 1.9.42. Implement advanced coin control. That's great. BullBitcoin, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Mobile version 0.4.0. PayJoin, basic PayJoin implementation, integrates PayJoin v2 into its mobile wallet, enables serverless asynchronous Bitcoin transactions. So this is really cool. I still don't see any point in hardware wallets supporting PayJoin. PayJoin should be a spending wallet.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for that point about like the beauty of PayJoin is you want to just have like default privacy behaviors, which means that the key's there, right? The moment you add friction to do your privacy stuff, it's just naturally going to only go to the superpower users.
That's right.
So with PayJoin, I guess one step back, BDK 1.0 final, like it's the final, no longer beta, no longer alpha. This is the 1.0 release, just got in at the end of the new year. So congrats to the BDK team on that, and tying right into BoltBitcoin. I know the BoltBitcoin team does a lot of building on this. PayJoin, for those again at home who are still awake, basically is a way for, I was talking earlier about the heuristics of a Bitcoin transaction where let's say I have 1 Bitcoin, I have 10 Bitcoin, I'm sending 1 to NVK, and I have to send 9 back to change myself. If we have a PayJoin wallet, let's make it maybe more reasonable units. Like I have 1 million sats on a wallet and I need to pay Rodolfo 100,000 sats, right? The way that would work then is I could do like a round of communication and be like, hey, do you have some coins, UTXOs laying around? Let's use those in the transaction. So let's say I have 1 million sats and then NVK has 1 million sats. What you then could do is then we have 2 1 million sat inputs, right? And all of a sudden now the common heuristic is all of the inputs in a transaction that are spending are the same owner. With PayJoin, you destroy that heuristic.
Yep.
Right. And once you destroy that heuristic, you have to do some negotiation around like where did the money go, like making sure that everyone gets the right amount of Bitcoin back at the end of the transaction. But with a hot wallet, if you're doing default private, you're able to set this communication up. It's an unequivocal win, really, on that side for like a little bit of extra transaction space. It's a really powerful feature, and it's something that could just be natively built into the wallets. And what you want is that like iPhone-esque experience where it just works, right? You want it to just, it's the default behavior and it just works. That's a huge win. And that's all the whole PayJoin project. Dan Gould on the PayJoin team has been cranking a lot of great stuff on that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's, I really think, and especially like when you are an exchange like Bull is, you have a lot of users of UTXOs in it, right? Like it really sort of amps the ante there. Like it's the right place for this.
Totally.
All right. Bitcoin Keeper, mobile version 1.3.1, new collaborative wallet flow to make it easier to create a wallet with friends and family. Update the signing device UI with a focus on easier collaboration. How to set up Bitcoin Keeper wallet with TapSigner to create a mobile inheritance plan. Very cool. Electrs version 0.10.8, separate blocks, reading and index writing into scoped threads. Nice. Set HTTP content type header for Prometheus response and a bunch of other stuff. Do you guys use Electrs or Fulcrum? How do you guys do your block indexing?
Yeah, critically important question. And the great first thing is that BDK naturally supports Explora, your own node, and a bunch of other things. We use like an Explora instance on our side to do all of the indexing. So
don't you guys find Explora a bit slow and a bit resource intensive? What was the reason to use it instead of Electrs?
I would say probably off the bat, just the direct integration with BDK right now was the biggest thing.
Oh, okay.
But that's actually a good call out for a feature because I know Electrs. Actually, maybe, yeah. I'm sorry. We do use Electrs now. I'm misspeaking. We initially started with Explorer, but it all natively plugs in there. Basically, with BDK, you select your chain source on the back of like, where is this index and where is this all happening? And once you just like configure your server on the other side, BDK just acts like a client and it's really clean and abstracted out.
That's the fun thing that like, I don't think people ever realize like Bitcoin Core is unusable for transaction indexing, like literally unusable. Hopeless, fucking hopeless.
I agree personally. But if you want to be a purist, you can do that, and Rust-Bitcoin and BDK naturally supports. If you want to do that,
yeah, but you can't. Like I can't. Like if you have 1,000 UTXOs, good luck.
No. Yeah. Sorry, I should have specified. When I was like, as a person, it's like you with like a couple UTXOs. No one who's actually moving a lot around in UTXOs. If you're self-custody as a business, taking a lot of Bitcoin payments, it is unworkable. Absolutely. And what these indexers do is they sit on top of the blockchain and they maintain all of this chain state in a really clean indexed way so you can pay attention to the transactions that are meaningful to you.
Yep.
And it's a great, yeah.
BTCPayServer version 2.0.5. Check out add support link to footer, full payment, copy link button, and action column, and a few other things. rust-payjoin version 0.22.0, probably why it was added to Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Krux installer version 0.0.20, first stable version, entire code refactoring existing features. Cool. Frostsnap version 0.0.0 -alpha 1. Amazing.
They don't have a version yet. It's version 0.0.0. I love those guys. Basic wallet functionality allows you to delete keys from the list and allows you to recover them by plugging them into devices.
Yep.
The Frostsnap guys basically were talking about hardware constraints earlier, and they went in the other direction of having a specialized device that only does the Frost signature stuff, right? So they delete like any of the other traditional ways you're using Bitcoin, and they focus on that. And the device is like kind of the only way I've been able to describe it as a human centipede, where you can just click them all together, and they all just do it, and they do all that nonce negotiation, the construction of the keys and everything on those devices locally.
That's cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Bitcoin Safe 1.0.0 RC1 features full support for all major hardware wallets. Improved features: sync and chat, label synchronization, backup, multi-party. Cool.
Yeah, I met I believe it's Andreas at the Rust Bitcoin Summit earlier this year, and it's a really like clean, minimal wallet. I think he was also looking at using Nostr for coordination for stuff too. Last I remember, I'm now looking through to make sure I have the right one. Yeah, so they've encrypted label backups that can be done via Nostr for coordination, sharing, and synchronizing clients as well. So it's this idea. I think this is still early nascent days. I know there's people working on stuff like double ratchet to make the encryption much more enduring, like make it Nostr native. I think right now it's encrypted payloads being transmitted over Nostr. All of that said, being able to use Nostr as this agnostic communication layer for your coordination of information like this too. I know people work on this for pay joins. People work on this now for like wallet coordination. It's a clean way to just start managing the state elsewhere, to kind of have the larger social networking web of trust of Nostr being plugged into Bitcoin native applications. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, don't put anything sensitive on Nostr until we can solve NIP4 or NIP45. I can't remember now. Blockstream Satellite version 2.5.0. Add graphical user interface. Long time coming.
The normies are here. Add a GUI.
Yeah. Add option to disable Linux media build backport, TBS driver installation, update Telstar 11N Africa and Europe downlink frequencies. Raspiblitz version 1.11.4 Albi Hub feature release, add Albi Hub to Raspiblitz SSH menus, improve Mempal install script. Ashigaru version 1.1.0. This is a fork of the Samourai Wallet with similar UI and new added functionality. I can't recommend anybody use either Wasabi wallets or this. It's a mess right now out there. It's hard. Like, if you're an advanced user who can read the code, whatever, have fun. But for anybody that can't read the code, it's just too messy, too many blind spots. I think the best is to just sit this one out until things get better.
Since it's a fork of the Samourai project, if you were running Samourai either on your phone and using the Samourai servers, or if you were running the Ronin Dojo stack, this is the way to basically, if you have those funds sitting there, to get them off, because the Samourai servers are now offline, right? So that's why that'd be my recommendation if you're leveraging and using this stuff. It's the way for you to use your own node and your own stack to be able to access those funds.
Yeah, but even then, man, fuck, what if there's a problem with this and you start taking your money out and it just docks yourself? There's all kinds of shit.
So I guess Sparrow Wallet, I think they removed it, but there's older versions where if you had your information, you could also use the Sparrow Wallet to coordinate the transactions, and then you could talk to your own node and just get it off the stack.
That's probably much safer. The fact that you need their software to get the money out, also another poor design decision in a stack of poor design decisions. I know it's a little bit controversial to have criticism towards that project because, you know, they are in the shitter right now. Very unfortunate, you know, they are sitting out waiting their trials and all that stuff, and they shouldn't be there, but it doesn't make their software better.
So, yeah, so what you can do is they give you the output descriptor, and the reason why is that they don't use standardized derivation paths. So they've documented what derivation paths they use. So in theory, you could take your wallet and your passphrase and go down the non-standard derivation path and recover it. What Sparrow did was they just made it one click, right? Craig Raw did all of the lifting on the back end. So you just click this, you know, the Samourai button. You can get all of your pre-mix, post-mix, and ricochet, like all those things, like in a clean UX. If you're technical enough, you can go walk through and do that path yourself, though.
Yep. BoltzExchange updated. Mempal. Mempal is a Bitcoin mempool monitoring and notification app for Android. Zaprite updated. ESP-Miner updated. Project Spotlight. Satoshi, a new wallet for Bitcoin, Lightning, and liquid payments made by Satoshi platform. I don't know much about this. Joinstr, experimental Rust implementation of Joinstr. Miningpool-observer project compare block templates produced by a Bitcoin Core node to blocks produced by mining pools. Cool.
Yeah. So I think this is part of there have been a couple blocks that sit on top of block transaction, like blocks made, and they notice if like a mining pool was actually filtering out transactions that should be in there. Like the most common ones are like, oh, this is an OFAC transaction that I think there were a couple pools that were like dancing around them. And one click back to the Satoshi app. They're a new exchange. They're live in 49 states in the US. So you can buy, sell, trade Bitcoin through that. And they're just like in a soft launch now, opening up. But the mining pool observer is great too. I love that. The OXB10C is the prolific dev that's been doing a lot of like really mempool stuff. He did really interesting stuff too, uncovering, looking at each mining pool, the templates they were using to make blocks. And he was one of the first ones to notice that many of the mining pools were actually ant pool on the back end because they were showing identical templates, which means they were mining to identical Coinbase addresses, which means that it's the same mining pool under a different name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, mining hash has always been lots of shenanigans there. It will always be. It comes to the territory. Dojo Bay, a directory available of Dojo nodes. Nightly Bitcoin Core tests, a tool to test and review development versions of Bitcoin Core. Nigiri, a delicious Docker box for special Bitcoin cooking. Okay.
Should have been bento box.
I know, right?
Misnamed.
Run lit-d notes and helper scripts for setting up and running lit-d node. Okay. BLLSH, a bullish shell for a Bitcoin Lisp language. Wow, that's
a Lisp.
Lisp. Okay. Haven't heard that in a while.
This is Bitcoin Lisp language, language scripting language that could be added in a fork. Okay. So this is out there for the people that are playing.
Very out there.
Yeah, very, very out there.
Go write your Bitcoin VMs with that.
I'm on Bitcoin Roblox. We're using Lisp. I just want to build all my Bitcoin smart contracts in Roblox.
If they wanted to go really full retard, they should have that in small talk, but that's a different story. BTCED, bird's eye view of Bitcoin HD wallet. Zero fee Playground, a site for trying out zero fee Bitcoin transactions.
So I've done this before. You can, in your own Bitcoin Core CLI like node, the console, you could actually make transactions. And I was doing silly op returns and messing around. And at my first transaction I made, I didn't have a fee. You have to manually make sure you put that fee in there. So it's good to have a little cleaner UX. If you want to go around, you can do it. But you're not going to be able to get confirmed in a pool if it's zero fee by default. Yeah, it's not going to get included anywhere. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with like Truck and like the new mempool stuff they're doing, where you have those anchor outputs. I'm not sure though. I'd have to look at this a bit more.
That's past the point that I stopped paying attention in Bitcoin development.
The mempool's a scary place.
Yeah, no, it's like, we are on the self-custody part of the bell curve, very left.
That's right. Grug. Go the Grug way.
That's right. I pushed the transaction. After that is no longer my problem. P2PK Playground, a site for creating P2PK outputs in Bitcoin, paying everyone's raw public key. That's cool.
That's cool. So for those at home, no one's awake at this point. So just for you and me, this is the original way Bitcoin addresses were encoded. Right, is that we never.
Yeah.
What we do now is, if you're using SegWit, pay to witness public key.
Yeah.
Or you have pay to script. Like, so pay to script is if you're doing anything besides a single sig. But if you're doing a single sig, you just hash the public key, and then you are able to spend the funds. Originally, we didn't do that. Originally, it was your raw public key that was sitting on the stack. So this is all the Satoshi coins, all of like the early 2009, 2010 coins are raw public keys. And there really aren't wallets that support it anymore. It's been really washed out as a standard. So it looks like someone was looking to mess around and bring it back. It's super testnet. Lovely super testnet. Yep. This makes perfect sense now. It's beautiful. It is an HTML and JavaScript. Like you can just look at it. I wouldn't put large amounts of money in it, right? But this is everything Super Testnet does. Is he has 10,000. Like he's a prolific shipper. He's always shipping, and what I love about it, it's just basic JavaScript and HTML. Like it is.
Just fuck it.
Yeah, he's just like, here it is. If you want to make it fancy, go run with it. But he puts out a really great open source code for everyone to go run with, and it's simple in that sense. It's just because it's JavaScript. I wouldn't say secure, right? But he's a man of his own. He's marching to his own drum, man. He's always cranking out cool stuff.
Yeah. It's always interesting. All right. Bitcoin testnet for Faucet.
Very nice. The true testnet.
Yeah, that's right. Hashsteroids, browser-based game combining elements of classic Asteroid arcade gameplay with Bitcoin mining concepts. Okay. My first Bitcoin launches community hub to support independent Bitcoin educators with resource tools. My first Bitcoin project, I torn on that one. Like, it's very cool. There's a lot of good work being done, but there's also a lot of bad security information being given. So get your shit together, guys. Love you. Vulnerability disclosure. I think we fund them on OpenSats.
Oh.
Vulnerability disclosures, Oasis security research team discovers critical flaw in Microsoft's multi-factor authentication system. Yay. Don't keep your seeds on Microsoft Cloud.
Rough.
$5 wrench attacks. Fake Uber driver steals $223,000 in cryptocurrency from customer center exchange accounts.
Oh, no.
The driver allegedly deceived the victims into handing over their phones. Wow. Nice. Smart boy on this one.
Just give me your phone, please.
Just give me your phone.
That means all of your money was on the phone, too, just to be clear. Like that is...
Yeah. All they needed was to just get into their
exchange,
Coinbase or exchange app or whatever it was, right?
Your coins were not offline. If someone taking your phone can move your coins.
All money handling apps need secondary PIN. Like you need a PIN to get into the app. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
And should add a decoy PIN as well. 2 men fall victim of phishing scams in May 2024 involving fraudulent Google search security prompts. An individual fell victim of phishing scam, losing nearly 500,000 cryptocurrencies. Kind of tricked him into clicking on a fraudulent Google account recovery. Oh yeah, man. You know, this has the vibes of that hack that it was insane that Google got. Like all their people were being able to do DNS hijack with Google single authentication thing. That it has those vibes. Probably part of that as well.
Yeah.
No news on it. No coverage.
No. So I am looking at this. I have family members who have been messaging me like, hey, why am I getting this? And you actually, if you use your Google for anything, like for a recovery tied to your phone in iOS or Android, you'll get a little like push down prompt that says, hey, Google's security recovery prompt. And you click on it and it says approve or deny. And it's like, oh, Google support is trying to recover your device. You hit and all you have to do is on your phone, you're sitting on your couch watching a movie. You're like, oh, let me hit approve. Something's wrong. And they've taken over your account. You're locked out. You're done.
You know the best part of this whole thing is the bad guys managed to also use Google domains for the emails using Google Forms.
Yeah.
So like it's like the attack. Like Google should be sued for this.
It says at google.com.
Yes.
Because it's a Google form. It is the most wild, like, short-sightedness in security because you use a Google form. And you get phone calls from people. What they'll do is they'll double team it. So you'll get a push notification, you get a phone call.
Yeah, totally.
And they walk you through and they're like, oh yeah, I can send you an email.
It must be real.
Yeah, and what they'll do is they'll pick names of people who are staff at Google as their name, and you'll see a LinkedIn profile.
And you go check.
Yeah, you go check. Oh, I'm on LinkedIn, kind of stuff. And it's wild, absolutely wild.
These guys are good.
They're getting better and better.
And Google is negligent on this.
They're gonna have to start stepping it up. Junseth did a really great interview where he caught one of them and got him for like an hour to interview and talk about how the whole operation works.
That was so good.
Yeah, and Nick Newman from Casa 2 also did one. And my favorite part was the hacker was talking to Nick, and Nick got him chatting. He's like, "Yeah, I have your information. It says you're the CEO of Casa, whatever the hell that is." So the hacker is like knows that Nick works at Casa as the CEO, like has all this information on him. So like they just like. They're calling you and they know who you are. They know the information asymmetry gets weaponized against you so hard. And the biggest thing to do is Google's not calling you. They're not a $1 trillion plus company because every time someone gets locked out of their email, they give you a phone call. That's never happening. Like that's not how it works.
It is all amazing. It is amazing. All right, Apache, Mina, CVE. What else? Enable remote execution through unsafe Java deserialization. Nice. WPA3 vulnerability, risk downgrade attacks, social engineering. I don't see a lot of routers with WPA3 enabled.
I haven't. And it looks like they found a way to get a rogue access point and then force you down to WPA2.
Nice.
So basically, you get through the front, you get through a side door, and then you just drop it to the lower spec. Yeah.
WPA2 with like a strong passphrase is surprisingly resilient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hackers compromised 16 Chrome extensions, affecting 600,000 by injecting malicious code, stealing cookies and access tokens. Jesus Christ.
Refresh your access tokens.
Don't use extensions.
Also, expire your access tokens. If you're running a company, don't like, you logged in, so you indefinitely now can use this computer to log into the website. Like, force kill that stuff.
Yes. It's pretty brutal. I mean, if you use TTOP as a way to just refresh that token, you don't even need the password again.
Yeah.
Just do TTOP once in a while there. Every 24 hours, you just pop a TTOP window in front of the user saying, hey, please.
Phone home. Are you ready?
Are you? Symlink exploit a vulnerability in Apple's file provider component. Identify allow unauthorized access sensitive data by bypassing transparency, consent, and control framework. Oof. It's wild, man. It is, and these are the attacks that we know, right? Like, I mean, the 99% of the attacks are still unused, sitting in Pegasus Teams servers, right?
Right.
Audience questions. All right. Thanks everyone who sent these questions. If you want to send yours, just send it to questions@bitcoin.review. Can you explain, like, I own ETH, so you're retarded, how signatures work for spending Bitcoin? Perhaps you can give a useful analogy on how signing can be done offline using your private key, but which doesn't reveal your private key to the network. In other words, how do you prove that the network, you can legitimately send Bitcoin without revealing your private key? Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Anonymous. So I'll give a very, very 5-year-old answer. It's simple, right? We have public key, private key cryptography in Bitcoin, right? So you don't actually have Bitcoin. You can just prove you are the owner of that UTXO in the blockchain, right? So it's just sitting there. All the Bitcoins are actually in the blockchain in the internet, right? Everybody can see them. Now, when you want to change ownership of that UTXO, right? Then what you do is you essentially sign a message saying, hey, I'm the owner of this, prove, with a proof, and then saying I'm going to send this to this new address, whoever that is on that address. And here is my signed message. And then essentially the network validates that that transaction is real, right? Like that you actually own that UTXO, and that this new transaction complies with the Bitcoin spec, right? So you're not sending 22 million Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You can only send 21 million Bitcoin. I mean, a little bit less right now. And then a miner just timestamps that.
Yeah.
So that's essentially how it works. And then the next person that received it can just do the same with theirs, right? They can just essentially tell the network, hey, I own this. Here's a proof. And I'm not signing this to the next person, to this next address. And that's really essentially it.
Yeah. And I'll add just one extra, if that was like the 5-year-old, maybe for like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old.
Too far.
When you send Bitcoin, it's going to a specific address, right? Because I've often had people be like, wait, but like once you sign it, can't someone change it to a different address? And it doesn't work that way. So I always use like the idea of a Bitcoin transaction as a check, where your input is like the money in your bank account. That's your UTXO, right? Let's just make it very simple. There's one address, one output. You have one input. You have one Bitcoin address that has 10 Bitcoin on it. When you send it somewhere, that's like your to field, and you're making a commitment that it's only going to be spent there. And it's like a SIG hash, right? And this is why when you send Bitcoin, what the network is doing is your signature is a commitment to that SIG hash of like the transaction data. So if you change anything, if you change the amount of Bitcoin, you change the destination address for the Bitcoin, you change anything, the signature may still be, quote, valid because you really signed it, but it doesn't match up with the transaction itself. And that's where you get it kind of rejected, right? So this is where I always use the check metaphor. Like a blank PSP, it's like, I'm ready to sign, like, here's what I want to do. It has a date on it, it has an amount, like where it's going to, and all that stuff. And then your signature is a digital signature that ties to that. And then you can't change anything after the fact. So it's all part of that data integrity. And then it goes off to a miner and they put it in a block and timestamp it.
There you go. So yeah, it's just an Excel spreadsheet with sign roles. And next, when people say there is not enough UTXOs for everyone to have one, that's me who say that. How do you quantify that? What's the number of UTXOs and what factor affect number, such block size and on? Well, here's the thing. There's going to be only ever 2.1 quadrillion sats, right? And remember, like, wealth distribution is not equal, right? So let's say that, right now in the world, I think it's like 1 basis point of the world's population owns something like 50% of the world's wealth, right? So let's improve that to 10 basis points. So 10x improvement in wealth distribution. So if we do that math, it's going to be 50% of all Bitcoin. So say 1 quadrillion sats is going to be owned by 0.1% of the world's population.
Mm-hmm.
And that's conservative thinking, right? It's a lot less now. And let's say the other 50% use Pareto, right? So for the other 50%, say, for example, 80% of that, so 800 trillion sats are owned by 20% of the people. Okay, now we're left with just 20 trillion sats, right? And if you divide 20 trillion sats by 9 billion people, okay, and so hang on a second here. Let's do some math.
Oh boy, now I'm scared.
Hang on. No, we'll get there.
20 trillion divided by 9 billion?
Yeah. No. Is it 20? Yeah, 20 trillion. Okay.
2,222.
So 200 sats per person, right? 200 sats is fucking nothing, right? How much is 20 sats to 2,000 sats right now in US dollars?
$2.
$2, right? So there you go. And you know what's funny? That kind of matches up with the world's wealth distribution right now in terms of dollars, right? Like outside of first world, like, you have about families in Africa making like, about that, like about what was it, like to $2 a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. And then when you actually calculate, so first of all, 2,000 sats, you can't really move that on chain because of fees, right? So that's not viable. And, there you have it, right? It's just not enough sats for everybody.
Yeah.
And that now, right? Like in 5 years from now, this number is going to probably be 100 to 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, this is also just all a constraint to your point about them being economically viable to move on chain.
Yep.
And we have a constrained block size. right? So you have 4 million weight units, right? 4 megabyte blocks right now, with no path right now for any increase in our lifetimes, or at least for, let's say, for the next 10 years. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You're just at a position where it's just not going to be fundamentally approachable to even think about. If you have $2 on chain and you have to spend 50 cents, that's this, that's not, or maybe you have to spend the entire amount. Maybe this is what we call like dust amounts. So when you have an amount of Bitcoin as a UTXO, which to spend the UTXO is more in fees than the size of Bitcoin on that transaction, you're just at a point where that's effectively a dead UTXO. You actually can't do anything with it on layer 1 Bitcoin.
Yep. So anyway, so that's the point. It's just that, like, base layer Bitcoin is just not going to be used by most people. It's a privileged, not a right, to have first layer. You can look at it like kind of like BIS. It's like how banks and big institutions clear with each other. Even Lightning doesn't scale to more than, say, 100 million people. Okay, so that's still sort of like just clearance between smaller entities. Like the world's population is going to use free banking with eCash or some shit like that. And that's fine. That's like a tremendous improvement in privacy and freedom. So I think we're okay with that. Killing central banks, replacing central banks is already a big enough order, right? A tall enough order. If Bitcoin can achieve that, it's already like world peace. And you can't be everything to all the solutions, right? You have to pick. Like, and Bitcoin was designed to replace central banks, not to have people buy lattes.
Bitcoin's a monetary network at the end of the day, and the biggest use of money is not actually spending it. It's having a money that retains value.
Yeah.
Like, store of value is just fundamentally, and we just live in a culture in a world where money is this means of transacting. Yep. And that's because the money's bad. No one wants to think about holding it.
Yep.
But in a world where the money is good, the most important thing is, you want to have that money to be retaining and accruing value.
Yep. So that's a little bit on that. It's the math. Trust the science.
That's right.
I have a legacy address to start that starts with 1 with some Bitcoin. Should I be worried about Coldcard or a CC?
CC? I thought it may have been quantum computing.
No, but that would be a Q.
Yeah, it would be a Q. If he meant CC, well, then I'll let you take it.
So, no, 1 addresses are actually more secure than SegWit addresses. Luke has opinions on this. They're great to read about. There's nothing wrong with 1 addresses. The problem with them is that they're just more costly to transact, but marginally. So, you know what? Like, if it's working for you, man, just leave it. Don't dox your transactions just because you want to move it. If this is a paper wallet, then you definitely do to move that because paper burns. So, Johnny Lab, thanks for your question. Don't get it. Why should anyone accept maybe millionaires self-custody? Even if you have a lot of BTC, if it's from many small UTXOs, then it's worthless. Richard Kingdom, I don't know how to say the last 4 parts. But anyways, so here's the deal. I've tweeted about this a million times before. If the majority of the BTC doesn't stay in independent hands, Bitcoin goes to 0. Okay, because it will be captured. It's just nature, right? Like, it's not an if. It's like if its majority is controlled by centralized entities that are capturable, it will be captured. Period. So, if you have UTXOs, they're economically mobile, right? That you can move them and maybe rejig them so the UTXOs make more sense size-wise. Then move them into self-custody. First of all, it's your freedom. But second is you're doing a solid for the network. Like, running a node is retarded. There's no point in just fucking burning electricity to run a node 24/7. You're not helping Bitcoin, contrary to Twitter belief. Now, moving those UTXOs to a node that you self-validate, that's huge.
Yeah.
So do that.
I'd also just reject the premise that many small UTXOs are worthless. Fees right now are 4 sats per VByte.
Amazing.
So, like, when we're talking small, like, if your UTXOs are, let's call it over 3,000 sats, let's say hypothetically that's where you're like $2-3, which they're way more than that. But right now, All of those are very viable, and you can consolidate UTXOs.
Yeah.
And I'm saying consolidation has privacy trade-offs. But if we're talking about you having a bunch of $2 UTXOs, you're going to have to do something with those things, man, because that's ridiculous. Like, you got to, like, that's just, you're setting yourself up for pain. If you have a couple $20, $100 UTXOs, those are still totally fine and will be fine for some time. You do want to be able to own these. And I would say that you don't want to default to these large players holding everything. The system does not work.
I mean, listen, you can always just use them to buy some shit with Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, buy some stuff with Bitcoin.
And then spend and replace. Spend and replace. Let's say you don't want to consolidate them, right?
Yeah.
You send them, to a retailer or something, sort of to get rid of them, and then just go and buy some more BTC to replace them. There's many things you can do. You can donate them.
OpenSats will take them.
Yeah.
OpenSats will take those $2 UTXOs.
There you go. there is many things you can do with them. So next time people send us some questions about this kind of stuff, let us know the size that you're talking about for UTXOs and things, like in general, just the questions. Give us some numbers, because it helps us understand the scale of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. If BTC must be essentially be held in custody, then why use BTC over gold? Distrust among large banks might encourage BTC over gold. Same Richard guy. Yeah, so listen, the majority of the people will use custodians because the majority of the people don't want responsibility. That's just how society works, right? Like that, it's humanity. It's not going to change. But that doesn't mean the majority of Bitcoin will be in custodians. And that's the fight that's worth fighting there. And like, all you need is a failure, essentially a large bank failure, a large custodian failure, to demonstrate that, which we had with FTX.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, FTX had a solid API. It was really good, right? So and everybody wears suits and those guys look great on paper, so... Yeah, but reality is there's still custodian. Third-party risk. Bitcoin doesn't need third-party risk.
And this is one of those things, too, where gold started failing when it all went into the bank vaults.
Yes.
Right. And so then you get paper gold, right, and certificates. And then you start basically debasing by not having a one-to-one representation. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that it is third-party verifiable in a very trivial sense compared to hiring a bunch of people to look at the gold. But then you have to get assayers, right? So gold is a whole big thing where gold used to be gold-plated and be tungsten on the inside.
Yep.
Right? So then you have to worry about what's the purity of the gold, whereas there is no purity metric in that same sense on Bitcoin. It's a entirely different thing. Not to mention Bitcoin, you can multi-sig.
I mean, the most important thing is, it's just get UTXO set info, and that's it. Like, you can know the supply.
Yeah. You have to buy $1,000 pieces of equipment called spectrometers to analyze if gold is actually 99.999% gold.
Yep.
Whereas, you have a very basic computer spin up really quick and get UTXO, you'd verify the total supply. That's the other thing, too, is the total supply, not just your individual slice and an account in a bank, but understanding your share of the global network is something that is one command line tool interface. You can run that check and know that you have integrity. So there's many ways. That's a whole other podcast about why Bitcoin's better than gold.
Totally is. I mean, and there's a lot. Jesus Christ, there must be 1,000 Bitcoin shows that answered this 50 times over in the last 10 years. I mean, it's fucking endless. Gold is stupid. It's a bet on the end of the world. It really is. It's the pessimistic bet. Like, people buy it because they think it's going to end, and it's the opposite. Humans find a way to make it greater, and that's what Bitcoin is. It's a positive bet.
If you're mostly in on gold, you better also be in on bullets, whiskey, and prescription pills. You're talking about the world has ended. It is not a...
No, but here's the thing. If the world ends, you want to just lead. You don't want... Gold is useless.
That's what I mean. You want the bullets.
That's right. People are going to be trading bullets. People are not going to be trading gold. It's idiotic.
Or they're just going to put bullets into you to take your things.
It's fucking idiotic. People are going to end up shooting gold because they're going to run out of lead.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just doing a quick other scroll here. I passed all this stuff. I think that's it. Is there any other stories that you feel like we should chat about?
I'm doing a quick scroll as well. I don't have anything at the moment on my side.
All right, so while you scroll, I'm going to read the boosts.
Go for it.
Thanks everyone who streamed the sats. It's a lot of fun to get the sats. And most of your sats are spent on Nasser to give to other people. So thank you in their name. Ape Me Frontier, 17,000 sats. Craig's featured requests on broadcast pool is much needed, and we should get more eyes on it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else to scream to about this one. Classic core, nothing's gonna get done, but it makes sense. It's a volunteer project. Ape Me Frontier, 7,000 sets. Epic rant at the end. Craig Raw is always worth listening. Shadow Super Badger, cool episode. Thanks for putting it together. User 1,000 sets. Thanks. Text with Fire. So Much Winning by Bitcoin Board. Leo Rico 8. Fucking epic episode. Juan may need to find a new sleep therapy solution as I made it through the whole episode and on a night flight. Great rip, guys. Learned a lot. The last show was fucking epic. It was really good. I think we did a very good job.
Yeah. This is the problem. People are getting tolerance to Bitcoin.review. They're starting to.
I know.
Like it's like any other drug. Like they're building a resistance.
It's like any other opioid.
Yeah, they're gaining resistance.
Yeah, it's resistance. That's right. Your Bitcoin receptors are getting resistance.
Yeah.
Highlights from UpTech. You should check out UpTech.
Looking through these, I actually have one that was cool because we've been talking about this for the past year with the proliferation of AI and deepfakes.
Yep.
We've been saying for a while the one thing that AI can't deepfake is a Bitcoin private key pair.
Yep.
Right. And proof of work are like literally the two things. And so the Casa team just put out a new feature on their side about, if they're getting on calls with customers and doing deepfakes like detection. So they built a new feature that has like advisory codes that push out. I think this is like the first step of that, where like if you get on the call with a Casa advisor, they're going to push a notification. You have to read that code on the phone. Like it's a good initial heuristic because now it's not just a video call. There's a third part. Just like with any other secure communication, you want a secondary communication channel to verify things.
Yep.
And this is exactly what that does. And it's a very clean, elegant, simple way. I think the future is going to be more like cryptography, like Galaxy Brain stuff, but very simple Grug Brain solutions for being able to have a third party, like a secondary communication channel to push information to verify stuff is a great thing. So Jameson has a great blog post about that.
I am a huge fan of paper OTP.
Yep.
You make your little sheet, you fold the sheet, you see the numbers together, and then you give them over like text message or phone call, and it's paper. They'd have to come to your place to take the paper from you. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, encryption news. NIST proposes to standardize wider variant of AES. AES in the U.S. government agency has developed standard guidelines for a variety of technologies, including cybersecurity and cryptography. NIST is considering a new version of Rindell with 256-bit blocks, driven by the need for larger block size due to increased data processing demands. Where is Rindell when we need him to talk about Rindell?
Yeah, I think this is the moment a lot of people realize that Rindell is the AES, like the whole encryption standard with AES.
Yes.
It's not our buddy from Twitter.
It's NIST wanting more things is always sus. So but I'm out of my depth here, so
totally.
I'll let the guys have opinions about that. Funding OpenSats. We did our 9th wave of Nostr grants. You should check it out. Spiral renew its grant to BTCPayServer. HRF donates 7 Bitcoin fund. Btrust announces Q4 Btrust grants recipients. Chaincoin Labs. Man, it's just so many, so much money for philanthropy in this space. Mostly single source. Thanks, Jack. Mining, Greenpeace USA changed the code campaign aiming to modify Bitcoin energy-intensive proof of work, likely shut down. Well, I mean, they changed the code and nobody picked up their code, so good luck with that. What else? A bunch of other things here. Samourai Wallet pre-trial hearings postponed to March 12 due to additional discovery batches and trial. These guys, man, they're gonna make them suffer. I mean, this is U.S. justice between quotes system at its best. They're gonna put these kids through the ringer.
So there's the peer-to-peer privacy fund for people collecting donations to help provide the trial. I listened to the new What Bitcoin Did Is Back. Danny, the smarter of the two and the more handsome of the two, has taken over the reins from Peter McCormick, and Danny is now the host of What Bitcoin Did. He had two lawyers on that are working on the case and the involvement in the peer-to-peer rights fund. And they said the amount of documents in discovery, since they found, I think, on the verge of petabytes of data between everything that was seized, and it's all part of discovery. And they said if you stack the papers back and forth, it'd go to the moon and back, kind of thing. Like the amount of data if you printed it out, like it's it's like drowning. It's a legal tactic that prosecutors do to basically drain your funds and like kind of run you out. By literally everything gets submitted, so then all of it could potentially be part of the court conversation. And it's just, in the digital age, it just heavily works against you.
No, that's the thing. It's like the true and tried way. If they can't get you, they'll bankrupt you, so they can get you.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to follow the trial, the best place is The Rage. They are really covering this well in detail. Russian government directs ISPs to identify users accessing blocked content via VPNs. Oy. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think we've covered as much. Oh, yeah, and Craig Wright can go fuck himself, and hopefully he's going to go to jail, because I think he's finally in contempt of court. It started the proceedings.
Yes.
So he can go fuck himself, and hopefully he rots in jail for a long fucking time. What a piece of fucking shit to do this.
Yeah, that's finally coming to an end. And that's the other thing on the court side. You can play the evasion stall tactics for so long. One last thing. BIP348 has been merged off CheckSig from Stack.
Okay.
So that's just a fun little like building tool, like not merged in the protocol, but the spec is final now for CheckSig from Stack, which is a lot of people have been messing around with. So that's just a nice little thing that's,
very nice.
Marching along.
All right. I think we did, without the disruptions of Rindell and so many other great guests, I think we managed to be quite effective in going over the list.
Yeah. I'm getting a request here to explain what it is. So CheckSig from Stack, we talked all this about signing transactions. You can just sign things that aren't literally a transaction. That's you can sign an arbitrary hash that is unrelated to the transaction you're spending. You can do this for oracles. You could do this for better lightning scaling and doing things like lightning symmetry, if you combine it with something like CTV. So it's just it's another way to verify data that isn't literally the transaction you're signing. Every signature in Bitcoin right now is signing and committing to the UTXO. It's allowing you to commit to something else. That's the simple way of explaining it. But yeah, no, it's been really great. You should just do these one-on-one, like get all the riffraff out of here. Like all of these just talkers. Like
I know.
We got to get to the good stuff. That's why everyone was alive through the last episode. No one fell asleep because it was way too sexy and chitty chatty. You got to get dirty.
Yeah, there was a lot of pump. We were in a pump mode.
Yeah.
We were talking about winning and smelling the roses, and I think the Bitcoin misery the Twitter misery was already starting to piss off everyone who actually works on shit. So we went on a massive rant.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, listen, Rob, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Any final thoughts?
I'll just give a shout out. We're now live at Anchorwatch. If you're interested in exploring insured custody, you can hit me up at Rob Oneham on Twitter, Rob at primal.net. primal.net/Rob on Nostr, or rob@anchorwatch.com if you want to shoot me an email.
3-letter username there, huh? Nice.
Yeah, I'm a Primal legend with the 3-letter domain on Primal for sure. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, I think we killed this one in an hour and a half. Well done.
Good stuff.
Thanks for listening. For more resources, check the show notes. We put a lot of effort into them. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your project. Visit bitcoin.review to find out how to get in touch.